Here in the riding of Niagara West, we found a bit of an anomaly when it comes to voting in Ontario.
I vote every time.
Every time, never failed.
Everyone in town is very opinionated, so that way it doesn't really surprise me.
Maybe people are more aggressive.
I think more people are more engaged now than they ever have been.
Trafficking in it every day, for sure.
Trafficking and voter engagement, the rest of the country.
A little guidebook or something.
Outside of the Ottawa area, this riding saw the highest voter turnout in the province in the last election, with just over 71%.
It doesn't really surprise, like everyone in town is very opinionated, so that way it doesn't really surprise me. One way or the other, we're all very strong opinions.
Do you think it's because in a smaller town and a smaller area like this, maybe people are closer to levels of government, to municipal services, to provincial, federal services, so maybe they see the workings of government more closely? I don't know.
It could be. Our mayor is out a lot in town, and
she was here today. Mayor, this almost sounds like a dumb question, but have you ever missed a vote?
I don't think so.
I was going to suggest probably not.
Yeah, no.
What's the secret sauce in Niagara West?
This is an agricultural community. These are well-educated people. They may have 2 degrees. Farming is very scientific work. They know that in order to be successful in attracting attention at that level, you've got to be tuned in and you have to be engaged, and they are. And they have expectations.
I think people just feel if you're not going to vote, then you don't have a right to say anything.
Mm-hmm. But that would be true across the province. So what's different about it here?
Maybe people are more aggressive.
You don't seem that aggressive.
No, watch those fruit farmers.
They'll get you.
Pretty nasty.
I'll admit I'm kind of a political junkie. I used to be a director of a library over at Queen's Park at the Legislative Assembly, so I do follow politics and events around elections and other kinds of things happening in government quite actively, which is also why I vote. That's right. As I say, I can see what the implications are, both if you vote and if you don't vote.
What do you mean by the implications if you don't vote?
Well, for one thing, I'm not sure that you really have the right to complain about what's happening if you don't at least try to exercise your vote. I mean, obviously you don't always get the results that you hope for when you vote, but as I say, I do think it's important to be engaged in that process. And we're lucky that we live in a democracy where we can have that option of voting.
Why do you think you've always found it important or had an interest in politics?
One of the reasons is because I am a young, queer, chronically ill woman. So a lot of it, especially politics now, they're weaponizing my identity and my experience and the experiences of others for fear tactics or for brownie points. One thing, people are afraid. People like me are afraid that our rights are going to be taken away, so we vote. People on the other side are worried that they're going to pay higher taxes.
A lot of the things that you mentioned in terms of reasons why it might be a higher voter turnout, that anger on both sides, those are all things that would be true right across the province of Ontario. But what else do you think might be contributing to that?
We are in a privileged area, so people have the options to vote. People have the education to know what to vote for or to know how to go about that. There's a lot of accessibility here, which is fantastic, that a lot of more rural areas wouldn't get. So it's just easier to vote here.
Every election, you will hear politicians say that this is the most important election of their lifetime. But, I'm going to now say this is one of the most important elections of our lifetime because, and I think there is that sense. Now, the question is, does that translate into voter turnout? And I think that's going to really be determined by the parties and our political leaders, whether they mobilize people with a positive message that mobilizes a lot of young people. In 2015 here, we saw the greatest increase in youth participation in a single election, 18% increase in youth participation, because there was a positive vision offered for what this country could be.
I've also heard, though, that anger is a great motivator for people. What does the research show in terms of people who are mad going out to vote?
Yeah, 100%. Anger is a very high motivator. We saw that in the U.S., in the first Trump election with Hillary Clinton. Both parties were really building up politics of division, of like anger, of hate of the other side. And we saw the highest voter turnout in modern U.S. election history. I hope in Canada we're not going to go that way. I don't see us going that way in this election. But that is a way to drive voter turnout, is to get people angry at the other side. So you're voting against something and not for something.
People are more engaged now than they ever have been because of what's going on down in the States, and concerning jobs, concerning where even groceries. You see it at the grocery store, right?
You're at the grocery store. Someone
Yes.
says to you they've never voted before. What do
Yeah.
you say to them?
Get out and vote. Like, you can't complain if you don't vote. Like,
What's this complaint piece? I keep on hearing this from. How often are you all walking around complaining about politics?
Quite a lot. Like, yeah. Everywhere you go, people, like at the grocery store, it's all about prices going up and,
Right.
looking for the Canadian alternative to an American brand. And, well, what difference is that going to make? And there's a lot of engagement going on.
Maybe that's the secret sauce. It's just a part of the fabric of the community here to talk about politics, to talk about issues.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I have covered municipal politics out this way, and they've always been a very civic-minded community. Having covered, town councils here, usually you don't get a lot of people out to town council meetings, but quite often you would have large turnouts. And there's a lot of people who have been here for several generations, so they sort of got those deep roots, and I think that maybe helps a little bit. Even the people, there's been a lot of people who have moved here in the last 10, 15 years. They come here and they seem to sort of grasp onto that civic mindedness.
It's almost like they read the writing on the wall. They read the room and they want to be involved as well.
That's good. If we could figure out what it is, it'd be nice, because we need more people voting.
Yeah, we could print it for the rest of the country.
Yeah. Little guidebook or something.
I think we're expecting turnout to be quite high. There does seem to be a huge amount of engagement. So if people are feeling enthusiastic about their options at the national level, probably going to be much more likely to go out and cast a ballot than they would be. For example, in the Ontario provincial election, I don't think there was a lot of enthusiasm about that campaign. And we saw that in the turnout, which was quite low.
I think of almost all the teachers I know would probably vote, just because it's part of what we do, is tell kids to vote. So.
Well, and they say that education is one of the best predictors.
Trafficking in it every day, for sure.
Trafficking.
Selling the vote. Yeah.
Trafficking and voter engagement. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah. Well, it definitely worked on me this year. There's years I didn't vote in provincial elections and felt guilty about it.
In those occasions where you didn't vote, what was the reason?
I was working a job that was not talking to a lot of people either. There wasn't a community reminder or that healthy peer pressure to vote.
So as a journalist working in a place where people are fueled up and know what's going on, then maybe that makes your job easier.
Easier and more difficult, or maybe not more difficult, more challenging. A lot of times you file a story and you never hear anything and you wonder if it has any impact, but to file a story and actually have people reach out and say, good job, or what the hell are you thinking? It was interesting to have that kind of feedback and that engagement.
If it becomes more of a conversation, then more people, it might get into people's heads more. I think my generation really needs to step up and vote.
What happened to your wrist?
Oh, just repetitive strain injury.
That was a voting injury.
That was a vote, yeah.
Yeah, you've been voting too often.
I voted so hard that my wrist just shattered.